welcome to Centurion's Corner, and today we're going to be updating Bossk. Now, it's a bit of an older figure, this one. However, Hasbro have done a fantastic job on him. And this was the archive launch, which was back in April 2019, I believe. So, even though he is great, and I think the paint applications on there are actually really good compared to some of the newer ones where we get things missing, well, there is still some paint parts here. So there's actually some silver linings here. This is supposed to be red, some silver on here as well. Down here we've got some colour bleeding as well that we can actually wipe up. I think generally the colour across needs a good old black wash over it, and also I've got parts down here that are kind of splitting. I guess they've gone a bit brittle, so you're gonna have to try and re-glue these into place as well, and across on the back. So I guess without further ado, let's just crack on with it. So before we begin, I actually forgot to press record. So where these black arrows are going, I've already implemented some black paint. So look at my little friend here and you can see the reference over, and I've just got to the actual bit above his foot and I'm carrying on painting from there. So I'm currently using black for all these parts. It's up to you if you want to actually do this part around the top of his foot. Some reference it as the original colour, some references it black. Some kind of looks like a bluish grey, so I opt for black just to match the rest of the outfit. So for any project like this, it is ideal that you get your reference pictures to begin with, so you know where you're going to put this paint. You can get reference pictures. I'm using one of these kind of statues, and I'm not going to butcher the name. However, this one here gives me actually 360 view around Bossk, and it looks very detailed and looks almost close to the actual on-screen outfit, which also I'm using. But obviously the reference pictures of those are not great because it's always from afar, apart from his upper torso. So here I'm using the new chrome liquid. I'm just going over the harness areas and all some of the old parts that were chrome before, just to give them a little bit more rejuvenized life as well. Hello! So don't forget, if you are a fan of the channel, you can hit that like button, and if you are new and stumbling upon the channel quite often, then you can subscribe and ding that bell. It helps out the channel immensely, and thank you very much. I'm just painting the white at the bottom of his trousers. If you actually look, there's a sculpted line in the actual bottom of the trousers, so I'm using that as reference, and that's where I'm putting my white line up to. So now I'm starting with the insignia on the arm. I'm actually painting it all white. As you can see, the base colour is white itself, and applying the logo over the top. Also with the logo, as you can see, one side is upside down to the other, so we've got to try and recreate that too. So with this logo, it is simply with a blue and a red, so I'm using these colours here just to put it on there. Patience is the key, and a very small detail brush. So here I'm using gunmetal. Just don't want to actually make the gun super shiny. It just looks a bit off. So I'm literally covering it in gunmetal, but still keep going over with the same paintbrush. It slowly actually drags the acrylic paint straight back off. But not taking it all off straight away, we're just stripping back some of that gunmetal so it looks a little bit worn, torn, and getting that other colour come back through from the original gun paint. So before applying the actual black wash and stuff, we're going back over the figure with a cocktail stick and dragging off any kind of paint that's bled, just to bring those details back into the line. So next up I'm using a brown wash and we're going to go simply over his scales. I'm not actually drying the brush too much or the actual skin itself. I'm just letting it do its natural thing because he's got a lot of crevices inside his hand, etc. as well. And those other details over his scales I don't want to sort of lose too much. So with the water it's just going to seep naturally into those crevices. So next up on Bossk we're using a black wash over his flight suit and then just dabbing it off so it's not too black, but we want to get all those dirty and nitty gritty parts there because he's a bounty hunter, he's a lizard, he's not really going to go for laundry or anything like that, so you want to make it as dirty as possible but obviously not taking away that nice vibrant colour that Bossk is. Also I've been wetting the brush and just sprinkling it on there so he's got some sort of carbon scoring kind of sprinkles all out over his suit. And the last thing I need to do is literally go over the figure or only over his scale parts with a nice clear gloss varnish, and this will actually make him look like he's always slightly a little bit wet, slightly a little bit slivering. Don't put too much on there, just simply just get the brush, wipe it alongside the jar a little bit and then just put it on there so it's just got a nice kind of gloss look over the top. All finished and weathered and ready to join his bounty hunters on the shelf. And even though Hasbro have done a fantastic job with this figure originally and compared out how old it is really, just adding those extra little paint applications on there to really bring him up to his on-screen counterpart just shows off, just brings that figure up to more of a premium kind of rate, to be honest with you. So with the paints that we have added here, we've used chrome silver, and it's a really nice silver paint. It's X11. I never really used it before. It's better than the aluminium. For some reason the aluminium always sinks to the bottom and it's quite hard to get it on your paintbrush, but this one is brighter and I've not had any problems with it. So we've gone over all these extra silver parts and added extra parts around and down here with the silver just to bring it a bit more up to life. Flat white on here, which we've used on his sort of logos on his shoulders, and obviously adding that extra trim around the bottom on his bottom of his trousers. Red X7, and that is literally just simply for the badge. It's like we've used a very tiny small part there, and then we used blue as well, again for the badge. It's LP6, again only a couple little dabs for that. The other parts we used obviously gunmetal, and that was just purely for the gun, didn't actually go onto the figure at all. And then black, and black is the actual main one that we've used here, and this is X1. And that's really just bringing all those extra parts in there, stuff they didn't really paint on there, to bring that torso really up to life. And then these two are my washes. So we got red brown, which is a fantastic brown. I highly recommend getting that brown. It's a really nice, what I call everyday brown. But it was running out and I just filled it out of water. So that's my wash, and same for this black, and any black paint would use for that wash as well. And then the last but no means least, we actually used the Loctite Super Glue Precision. This is a fantastic glue, and it was actually recommended to me by Clone Base Customs that does all my 3D printing. And we've actually fixed his harness. So here we are. You can actually see it's actually not like it's connected still, and looks very strong. And on the back as well, we've got that part just here, and it's no longer apart, which is fantastic. I don't know how long it'll last for, because that rubber just feels, don't know, it just feels really kind of like it's degrading, but at least we got it back together for now. So just looking at this before and after picture, you can really just see, especially in that sort of like torso area, and that kind of sort of, I guess, breathing apparatus that he kind of has that goes down like that harness, adding those paint effects to that. And obviously we've got the white at the bottom, and then we've got those other parts around here. So taking a closer look at Bossk, we can go for the head first. So as you notice, I actually did a gloss wash over the top, so a brown wash, then finished it off with a gloss sort of varnish, just to give him that kind of sort of reptilian sort of like snake-like head, you know, so it's always sort of a bit glossy there. Inside we've actually had a little bit of darker wash inside his mouth, and then around on there. Added a black wash completely all over the figure, and also added specks and other parts as well. But the actual paint applications we had on here, so we've added more paint to this sort of tube, because beforehand it was kind of off, and I didn't even realise that he had that tube before. We've added the extra sort of like black around on here, and silvered up some more of the silver parts just to make them really pop. On the actual thing as well, he's got some white parts up here, so I've just added those, but black washed over it because it just looked a bit odd, but I just wanted to add them anyway. We silvered up his harness, and obviously done more of that paint over the top. We added that extra little silver part that he has on his suit, and at the bottom he actually has white around, and if you look at the actual sculpt of the actual Bossk as well, there's actually a line up around there, so obviously it is designed to have the white paint, but obviously Hasbro copped out of it. These parts here you can leave the same colour if you wanted to. Every sort of picture I look at, it always seems to be black, so that's what I ended up for. So with the actual feet as well, just look at those extra details we added in there with that sort of brown wash over the foot and stuff. It just looks really nice, and then adding that extra varnish gloss just to make them shine. Looks really good, and we've done the same to his arms as well. Also around on his sort of top of his bicep part here, on the swivel part on the elbow, added that silver ring around on there as well, and then we've had a go at attempting the new logo just on there. One side come out better than the other. They actually are the same, and the other one is actually swept around on there, so it looks better. It's actually got a bit of colour adding to the actual suit itself as well. And then with the gun, obviously I painted the brown stock before, and I've just added an extra sort of like gunmetal over the top, and just sort of swashed it around, so it actually took off the gunmetal to get to the original paint underneath, so it just looks a little bit used. And yeah, that is Bossk looking pretty cool with that black wash all over the top, just to really add in the depth and detail of the actual undersuit as well. And yeah, I think he looks a lot better. And actually, I can't wait to actually start on some of the other bounty hunters as well. I'd really like to have a go at, especially Dangar, and maybe even Forlum, because Forlum's head's always kind of sort of annoyed me, being a weird sort of completely different colour. Maybe that is the way, but I need to do my research, as we always do as customizers. So thank you for joining me on this one. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it inspires you to create your own. Let me know in the comments down below. You can follow me on Instagram and the Facebook link down there below, and all the paints that I've used in this episode that you've seen through the tutorial, it's all in the description with links to Amazon. I am affiliated. It does help out the channel, which I have to say. So thank you once again. I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.